So last month, Donald Trump signed an executive order where he cut a lot of funding to South Africa. South Africa is a case in point of what happens when your country gets taken over by migrants. South Africa had a native African population that was killed off, unfortunately, by smallpox, and then were replaced by migrants, by European migrants, British and Dutch. And it was essentially like a European country or like a New World country, like Australia or New Zealand or a Canada for a good chunk of its history. Now, unlike those countries, it's a little more of an interesting history between the Dutch and the British. The British did try to take over because there was gold there, and the British wanted that strategic location, given that it's the Horn of Africa there. But and of course, you read about the Boer Wars and everything else, and that's a whole other topic that I'm not going to talk about. But I read a bit about that. But then the Bantu peoples, the sub-Saharan African populations that were originally from the western part of Africa and the Congo area, migrated southward. And they started to migrate there because, well, the economy was better. It was actually something of a first or a second world type of economy, unlike the third world jungle, like the backcountry that sub-Saharan Africa largely is. And why that is, that's another video also. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but nonetheless, you had hordes of migration coming into South Africa. They had an apartheid because they wanted to separate the immigrant populations from the European populations that have been established there. And in recent decades, the apartheid was ended and the African population essentially just took over that country. And ever since then, we're seeing racist policies, and not just bigoted, but actual racist policies, government policies of discrimination against white people in South Africa, of talks about confiscating farmland that was owned by white people, European descended people. And it has been not a very good place to be. Very high crime rate, a lot of like violent crime that is going on in South Africa. So a lot of white people of European descent, are been looking to leave the country. Russia has been taking in a lot of these people. They've actually Russia has allowed a lot of these these white South Africans to migrate to Russia and do their farming there. And Trump has proposed to do the same thing. So there are 67,000, according to this article, of individuals in South Africa that are interested in being refugees to the United States. Now, these aren't applications. It's not to say that all these people are going to be approved or however that's going to work, but nonetheless, there's tens of thousands of white South Africans that are looking to move to the United States if they have a chance to do so. Like any other type of migration, I think this has to be sorted through, and I believe it will be under the Trump administration. But if these are people with skills, if these are farmers, we could use skilled people here in the United States that have a low crime rate. If they don't have a criminal history, if they have a set of skills, then I see no reason why they wouldn't be here. Unlike the hordes of migrants that we're getting that are largely unskilled, and many of them have violent criminals and terrorists that are embedded in these mass groups. I think this would be different. So, and I know that sounds bigoted, but I look at a person's ability and who they are than more than anything else. But anyway, nonetheless, that is what it is. And, and I think Trump's doing the right thing there. Again, I caution, though, we got to make sure that these people are not criminals and they have skills that they're going to bring to the United States.